Hello and welcome to Love Hate Film.
Yep. So the next show and the show that we're doing today is about Blade Runner.
Blade Runner indeed. And what's more, hello YouTube, hello world. I'm Craig, aka the Wookiee, aka the fat beardy bastard. There's many names that are going to come up.
And I'm Pete, and we are today, as we said, going to discuss Blade Runner.
Absolutely. And just a quick bit of background, sorry, finally as well, is that we are Love Hate Film, a show about films, good, bad, and indeed ugly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, some say it is the best sci-fi film of all time. I wouldn't say it's the best of all time. I'd say it is one of the greats, without doubt. It asks, or it is the film that asks the most questions in terms of sci-fi and the world we live in today. So, I have to say it's an absolute love for me, without doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. But then again, it does fall into a little bit of a subcategory, and we have discussed this. We've felt it's almost been slightly biased at the moment. Our previous episode was Empire. Of course, this is our first debuting episode with visual as well. But
Hey.
yeah, we are keeping to a bit of a theme. It's a love for you all the way, as you were saying.
Yeah, full on. I mean, visually, it is absolutely stunning. Sound, Vangelis does the soundtrack to it. Again, brilliant, sheer brilliance. The minute that the film opens and starts, it sets you into 2019 LA, into the world of Blade Runners and replicants. And the minute you see it, you're in there. There's no sort of need time to get used to the film. It's not like slow and boring. It's just there straight away.
Yeah. And I mean, just as a brief bit of an intro to those who don't know the film, certainly I would hope that you're here because you've watched it and you want to know our little 10 cents worth, our
Opinion, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, bit of a backdrop.
Yeah, so the premise of the film is there are replicants which are artificially created, artificially intelligent, genetically engineered people. They're owned by the Tyrell Corporation. They work off world as soldiers and are essentially slaves. They're better, or supposedly better than humans in terms of strength, etc. So they're built in a failsafe into them, which is they only have a 4-year lifespan. And the group that the film is based around, Rutger Hauer is the main protagonist. They've escaped their slavery in the off-world colonies as soldiers, and they return to Earth, which is illegal. And there's things called Blade Runners, which try and retire them. By retirement, they mean kill them in any way that they can. And in the film, they do.
And if you didn't get any of that, watch the fucking Notebook.
Yeah.
Because that's where you belong, basically. No, sorry, kidding. But yeah, and on the front of, I suppose, 80s, it did inspire just such a generation. 82, this film came out.
Yeah, and it is mimicked in. You can see its influences in lots and lots of other films. There are lots, like the opening scene, for instance, where the flying car is going towards the Tyrell Corporation. Today, it's very dated special effects. It's like a model, and you can tell it is a model because they didn't have CGI in.
Oh, but you've got to love it though. That is a love for me because it inspires everything else. I could see at that point, Falcor coming over from Neverending Story, all of a sudden Brian Blessed, whoa, came in with Flash Gordon, and then at that point you're saying, wow, this inspired the 80s. You go into the building, it's not over. There's an owl, and what's more, it's the owl from fucking Labyrinth. Well, at least it looks very much like.
They definitely use that scene, which is a great scene as well.
Yeah, and it sort of goes into a thing that for me it's a big thing in the film, Void. The art of questioning a replicant to provoke stimulus to see if they are a replicant.
Yeah, the test, are you a replicant or not?
Yeah, a little bit like, I suppose, we've got human techniques, and it's a little bit of a provoking response thing. Everybody's got their own levels, but it's just, wasn't it the weirdest fucking test? What was it? About you can flip over this tortoise.
Yeah, there's a turtle lying on his back in the desert.
What's a turtle? You know what a tortoise is? You know
Same thing.
You know what a fucking turtle is. Yeah. You want to ask about my mom, and then he just blows into shit. By the way, fantastic. Once again, going back to the cinematography, awesome scene where he
Yeah.
blows him away from underneath the table.
Yeah, and he goes through like 4 walls as he goes.
4 walls.
What a good
4
gun.
walls. And you must have thought, even as a stuntman, that still looked really sore. No, it's a flashbang before shitty 80s graphics. Terry Gilliam and the Pythons were doing it long before this.
Yeah.
But that looked painful. And funny enough, it wasn't the only painful bit in the film.
No, yeah, there's a little bit of trivia in there around Pris, and the first time she meets JF Sebastian.
Yeah, she stacks it. She just goes full on, bang, straight through the fucking window. And she ended up quite injured.
Yeah, she damaged her arm. You said she had to have stitches and all sorts. And then if you watch the scene carefully, you can see a bit of blood on her hand as she's getting her bag back. And yeah, she obviously wasn't meant to do that, but as a true pro, the show must go on. She carried on and did the scene, and it was a good scene. I'm glad they left it in.
It sort of makes you wonder, though, like sort of the extent that they went to. Maybe all these scenes, and we will go into this, by the way, that later on where it's sort of the nail through the hand. Maybe that was just Roy Batty, the actor, going, you know what, fuck this. If she's going to go through the window, ha nail! Ridley Scott.
Can go one better.
Ridley Scott thought he was a genius, by the way, because he had no intention of asking anybody to put a nail through the palm, but he went there.
Yeah, well, he didn't, because you could see that it was a fake hand. But it would have been good if he did.
Wait, what do you mean?
So it was definitely a fake hand.
No.
Watch the film, it's a special effects, it goes fake, it's through his hand. Anyway, you alluded to a point right there about symbolism of the nail through the palm.
Yes, yeah.
So one of the main questions that the film does ask.
Sorry, I just realised I did do this sort of gesture. Sorry if there's anybody. Well, I don't know. There's no connotations here. We're just talking about the film, but given what you're about to talk about, I felt like that was a bit of an inappropriate gesture.
Probably.
Moving on.
Yeah, forget the gesture.
Yeah.
So, one of the big questions that the film does ask is, if we do create artificial intelligence, which we're not that far away from now, so it is equally relevant today as it was when it asked the question. Will they have a soul? Will they be as equal as human? Because the whole point of them coming back to Earth is to go back to Tyrell and find a way, if they can remove the fail-safe of a 4-year lifespan. They want to be just as human as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the film does answer the question very well at the end. There are some religious symbols in there. The nail through the palm of the hand is very Jesus. And at the end of the film, the main character, Rutger, he does save Deckard Blade Runner's life. He saves his life, and redeeming himself of any bad that he's done prior to that in his life.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the most, appropriate of Christian ways, proceeds to do it in his underwear, shouting about how, quote unquote, he wants Harrison Ford to be hard because he's about to come. Watch the film.
That is a little bit freaky. There's a couple of freaky scenes in the film that are a little bit too much, a little bit close to the line, and could be seen on the side of not very tasteful. So it's a little bit rapey, and a bit with Harrison Ford, where she she goes to his house. That's a scary scene.
Okay, now I want you to touch it. It was just so fucking frightening, wasn't it?
And she's just crying, saying no, but he carries on anyway.
The question should be, can androids cry? And it turns out
she does.
She does a lot. But I mean, some of the scenes in it were questionable anyway. I mean, we love the film, but there are definitely bits that are a little bit off the mark. There's a fantastic piece of audio, and I'm about to replicate it. Yeah, exactly. The scene is Harrison Ford is talking to the
snake shop owner.
Snake shop owner, yes, thank you.
He's trying to find out where the scale is from, and the scene's through the window. He's talking to the shop owner, and they're having a dialogue between them, but it doesn't marry up. What they say does not match what's going on in the scene.
And it does make you wonder, because the film almost did have elements of like a late 80s view on certain societies, and bordering on certain racial, by today's standards,
There's some stereotypes.
Yeah, we
in there,
would deem quite stereotypical. So it makes you wonder whether or not maybe the audio was different, maybe or not it was a change
maybe
of direction.
Change the scene completely because what was in it they didn't want. I don't know. If you know, let us know.
Yeah, please. I say, please comment below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose going back to iconic scenes, the very final death scene where Ruggiero releases the dove. Again, massive religious symbol, saying to me, proving that that artificial intelligence does have and can have a soul. He redeemed himself by saving his life. He let that go. And then if you notice in the background as well, it's dark, it's at night, but when he dies and he sits there and after the dove flies away, it's actually dawn breaking and the background gets light, and then you see Descartes' face as he's giving his noir monologue, which is right from the get-go. It's like a 1950s detective pastiche where he just talks over it in his monologue, which is it's a little.
I'd love to live my life like that. Just get up in the morning. I went to take a shit, but I was out of toilet paper. Damn.
Yeah, that's the.
I went to make a coffee. The milk was off.
Yeah,
I made my eggs.
For me, that bit was not one of the great bits, but you know, it's part of the film, so it is what it is. It didn't ruin it completely, anyway.
I sort of liked it because once again, you had just your nice little bit of trumpet sort of playing over the top,
saxophone in the back, 80 sax,
and it's just it's a reoccurring thing. I mean, does Harrison Ford have a man with a saxophone following him around, sort of playing Baker Street in the background?
Yeah, it was.
I was walking down the shops. I had a migraine.
Yeah, it is good. It is very 80s, but then it's of its time. But still, great film, great soundtrack.
Indeed. And I mean, you sort of touched on the religious iconography within it. Ridley Scott. Now, it's one of the ones he's touched on, but does he do it in others? I sort of brought the point. You never saw John Hurt recreating the birth of Jesus with Alien. How terrifying would that be if we found out it's a little Easter egg? Actually, this is, you know, the parting of the Red Sea in Gladiator when he slices that person in half in the ring. It's
yeah. Thankfully, he doesn't touch on that in other films. But you mentioned some films like Gladiator. The violence that he does it really well. It's tasteful. Not too. Yeah, it's not too tasteful. Gore. It's not 80s slash horror, but it is graphic enough. And there's you know when Pris dies, that's a pretty horrific scene, but it's not over the top. It's
I'm sort of waiting for it, and I'm very very surprised that that's the scene that you brought up. For me, the gouge. Oh my God.
Yeah, where he crushes his eyes. Yeah. Oh. Just the sound of that is, but again, it's not over the top. It's not a gore fest, but it does affect you. You do think, ooh, there's something slightly squeamish about it, which is good. It adds to the tension.
And here's another comment section for you as an audience. Which do you think was better, the Hound crushing the Viper's skull in Game of Thrones? Sorry, no, you're not a fan, but I'm sure that many of you out there are. Or this, personally, I thought this trumped it.
Yeah. This was better. I don't know. I've not seen the scene with Game of Thrones, but I'm sure they'll let us know.
Yeah. His watch hasn't began. It's okay. We will get him there at some point.
Never. Anyway, back.
We'll have to maybe explicit that. Anyway, sorry. Back to Blade Runner, indeed, and it's very very typical Harrison Ford at points. You know, you got to think of the cast and what they've done respectively, went on to do.
All of them went on to do great things, apart from Splash.
Yeah. Although
Titanic was alright in it.
Yeah. Tiny little throwback though. The character of Roy Batty. Went on to do 10th Kingdom, which was a fantastic series. This is the thing with these great actors. They went on to do tiny little mini series, and it might be sort of sci-fi or whatever. Production sort of brings these out, and it might be Sharknado-esque sort of quality, but sometimes they hit the fucking nail on the head. And just a little mini suggestion to the audience: 10th Kingdom, it's a series. It's got Jimmy Nail in it. It's got all sorts. Warwick Davis, brilliant. It was before its time. basically. But indeed, he's in it, and he plays the huntsman. So
yeah, they've all got great back catalogues. So watch them; they're there to be enjoyed.
yeah.
So, rounding up then, I say for me, absolute love.
Absolute love.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. You know what? Controversially, I'm gonna have to go a solid 8.2.
Okay.
Reason being is because by today's standards, there are just a couple of moments, and as we've said, Harrison Ford, it's not rape if you say it 3 times. I'm sorry, but that was a fringe too far.
That was a touchy scene.
It was indeed touchy. Also, dodgy vocals. I'm sorry, but we picked it up, and it did rustle our jimmies just a little too much.
Yeah. There's no getting away from that.
It's taking, and it can't take down a whole, 0.1. It needs to take down a 0.8. So, feel 8.2 is appropriate.
There you go, job done. So, upcoming shows. Soon we're going to do a show on method actors. Who's your best? So we want to know your opinion. So we've got a question for you.
Who do you think is the best method actor? Do you want us to do an episode on Christian Bale, Daniel Day-Lewis, or the good old Bobby De Niro?
Yeah, Robert De Niro. So who do you think is the best method actor? They've all done brilliant films.
Yeah.
You said about The Machinist with Christian Bale. He lost loads of weight for that. Full on method acting. You've got De Niro, the master as far as I'm concerned, but don't let that influence your vote. Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, phenomenal.
Yep, and then the absolute nut job that he is, Mr. Daniel Day-Lewis. I happen to be a little bit of a subject expert, if I do say so myself, on his works and all the nuts things that he's done, and not excluding pissing Liam Neeson off, which you never want to do.
He's a big bloke.
Yeah, he is indeed, and somehow always getting embroiled in some sort of transport sort of affair. I'm on a plane, I'm on a train.
I will find you.
I will find you. This man's not paid his fare. Yeah. Liam Neeson in Fare Evasion, London Underground, TFL.
That's coming soon.
Yeah. This train is delayed due to network issues. If you have an issue, I will find you and I will kill you. Sorry, Liam. We think you're brilliant.
So leave your comments. Who do you think's the best out of those 3 method actors? And if you've got an opinion on any film, including Blade Runner, go to LoveHateFilms.com, create your profile, write your own review, and you never know, you might get a mention.
That's right, LoveHateFilms.com. Link in the description. And once again, thank you for watching, guys. And as always, take care, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.